diazepines. We learned from the defense witness, Nurse Cheryl Lee, that she looked it up in the physician's desk reference, and these were symptoms ascribed and attributed to propofol. But we know from Kenny Ortega that on June 19th, he is concerned. Michael didn't rehearse. He sat in the audience with Kenny for a period of time. He eventually asked if he could go home, and Kenny said, of course, and was taken and left early from the rehearsal. But we also know that Kenny Ortega did far more to express these concerns than Conrad Murray ever did. Because Kenny Ortega then wrote an email. And in that email to Randy Phillips, he shared his concerns, and you'll have this in evidence. But he shared his concerns of the condition of Michael on that evening. He said he needed to get help. He relayed that when it was occurring, he reached out to Conrad Murray but could not reach him. He tried to call him, but he was unable to reach him. But as a result of these concerns, we know on June 20th, there was another meeting at the Carrollwood residence. And at that meeting, we learned that Dr. Murray was upset that Michael had been sent home. Conrad Murray evidently did not appreciate Kenny Ortega getting involved in that aspect of the relationship between Conrad Murray and Michael Jackson. Conrad Murray sternly told Kenny Ortega to essentially mind his own business. Stop trying to be an amateur doctor and psychologist. Be the director and leave Michael's health to me. Unfortunately, that seems to be what happened. Conrad Murray further explained that Michael is physically and emotionally fine, and it should not be your concern. That was on June 20th, 2009. On June 21st, 2009, we learned that Michael was complaining of being hot and cold, different parts of his body. We know that Fahim Muhammad called telephone Nurse Lee, who was actually out of state, and explained to her what was taking place, and that she indicated Michael needed to be taken to the hospital. We also learned from Fahim Muhammad that Michael Amir Williams later contacted Conrad Murray, but we don't know what transpired. That was June 21st, 2009. Sunday, June 21st. We then go to Tuesday, June 23rd, where we know Michael performed and rehearsed at the Staples Center. By all accounts, it was a great performance. Michael, again, was looking toward the future. They were getting close to shipping out to London. Everyone was excited. Adrenaline was running high. The crew, everyone who had been working so hard on putting this tour together, they saw light at the end of the tunnel. And it was about to happen. This is it. The tour was about to happen. June 24th, 2009. Again, the last performance that Michael Jackson ever did. Again, by all accounts, it was tremendous. Everyone was excited. Everyone was optimistic that this was about to get off the ground and that all the work, all the dedication that had been put into putting this tour together was about to pay off, and they were about to ship out to London. Michael was particularly excited. We heard from Kenny Ortega regarding Michael's love for magic and illusions, and they had talked about it, that tomorrow being June 25th, 2009, the illusion would be ready. And Kenny Ortega described it as flames coming up and this illusion where evidently Michael Jackson would appear out of nowhere. And Michael had a great love and fondness for this type of theatrical presentation. And he was excited about the next day to have this illusion finally be unwrapped. Kenny and Michael talked. Michael said he was very happy. He wanted Kenny to thank everybody and tell them that he loved him. He told Kenny, "I love you." Kenny said, "I love you too," and they hugged and parted ways. Randy Phillips was also at that rehearsal. And he described walking down the hallway with Michael. Michael put his hands on his shoulders and said to Randy, "You got me here, now I'm ready. I can take it from here." They hugged, and that was the last time Randy saw Michael Jackson alive. This was in the subterranean garage of the Staples Center at the conclusion of the rehearsal. And again, that was the last time he saw him alive. June 25th, 100 North Carrollwood. You know the house inside and out. This is the front door depicting the glass doors through which you can see into the house. The front foyer area showing both the upstairs banister as well as looking straight through the house, which would to the right be the kitchen, and then going straight to the backyard. The stairs here to the left where the security personnel would often leave gifts and things from the fans prior to Michael retiring to his bedroom to meet up with Conrad Murray. You know the bedroom where Michael Jackson met his demise. You know the walk-in large bedroom-sized closet adjacent to the bedroom. The restroom where you see Michael Jackson's orange-lined bomber jacket that he was wearing when he performed Earth's Song just 12 hours earlier, or rather when he discarded on the bathroom floor probably just an hour or so earlier. His pants bundled up in a ball on the floor from coming home from rehearsal, showering, and proceeding to be given drugs by Conrad Murray. So what is Conrad Murray's version of events? We know what his version of events was on June 25th, 2009. We know that from the paramedics and the UCLA personnel. Michael was dehydrated, he was tired, and he gave him lorazepam to help him sleep. And he witnessed the arrest. That's a medical term. What that means is you observe the person go down. Dr. Cooper talked about that. Other doctors talked about it. A witnessed arrest means just that. You witnessed the arrest. Well, that's Conrad Murray's version of June 25th. But of course, that version changed. Conrad Murray, from June 25th to June 27th, during that time, the police did not have contact with him. I think his attorneys say in the interview that they had instructed him not to return calls or something of that nature. You have the transcript and the recording. But an arrangement was made. I believe an attorney of Conrad Murray had called, and an arrangement was made to interview the defendant on June 27th, 2009 at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Marina del Rey. And you know from the recording and from the transcript that Conrad Murray was there, represented by his attorneys, Mr. Pena and Mr. Chernoff, that Detective Smith and Detective Martinez were there, and of course the defendant, Conrad Murray, was there. And at this stage of the investigation, the police knew very little. They did not have autopsy findings. They did not have toxicology findings. And as you know, the cause of death was not discovered until the toxicology findings were completed and disclosed. What they did know on June 25th is there was no sign of trauma. There was no obvious wounds, nothing to indicate any type of violent death by the hand of another. So they were essentially working in the dark. They were trying to gather information. They were awaiting toxicology reports. They were awaiting findings by the autopsy, by the coroner's office. And they sat down to listen to Conrad Murray, to listen to what he had to say, in the presence of both his lawyers. The detectives were not medically sophisticated. They did not know the terminology. They probably didn't know the proper follow-up questions. They sat, they listened, they asked questions, and they recorded what Conrad Murray chose to tell them on that day. And what we learn is that he was the personal physician to Michael Jackson, who's going to be going on the tour, that the recent care and treatment had began a little over 2 months prior to Michael Jackson's death, that he spent the night at Michael Jackson's house at least 6 nights a week, and that his purpose was to put Michael Jackson to sleep. The detectives ask, when they learn about these nightly doses of propofol, how frequently were these taking place? And Conrad Murray says, in response to the question, more than 10 times? Yes. More than 20 times? 30 days a month, roughly, every day. Those are Conrad Murray's words. He describes that he would give a bolus dose followed by a drip. He describes when he says that on June 25th he gave only 25 milligrams, that he typically gave more, but he gave half of that because of all the benzodiazepines on board. So he describes giving 50 milligram bolus doses followed by a drip in all the nights preceding.